If you're an aspiring filmmaker, this is your sign to finally make that film. A little background on me if you're new to the channel and don't know who I am. My name is Victor Hughes and I host a podcast called Psychocinematic. On there, I interview indie filmmakers all the way to Oscar-winning filmmakers to gain insights on their films, their techniques and methods, and their mindset. And over the years of hosting this podcast, I've learned a ton from my guests and was re-inspired to try my hand yet again at making a short film. I've made a couple short films in the past for short film competitions, and each time I got a little bit better, but was never satisfied with the end result, and honestly, I'm embarrassed by them. The fear and pressure set in after I got inspired to make another short film, because what if I make another horrible film? I already suffer from imposter syndrome, and I know that feeling would exponentially grow if I made another short film that I considered bad, being someone who interviews filmmakers on a podcast and works as a freelance videographer daily. The thought of it was crippling. So I had come up with an idea for a short film called Desert Trip, and then I actually shared that idea with Dylan Clark, the director of the viral short film Portrait of God, after we recorded an episode together. And lucky for me, Dylan was at least intrigued enough at the idea of me making a short film that months later he followed up with me and asked if I had written the script. I hadn't, but the very fact that he followed up lit the fire under my ass to finally write the script. But then the fear set back in when I started thinking about how would I fund this film? Even if I shoot it with my friends at a free location, there's still so many costs involved. I thought about crowdfunding, but the idea of that scared me. It feels weird to ask people to fund my passion project. And also if I do crowdfunding, it's set in stone. I ask people to give me money, and if they do, I have to make this film. And then I'm opening myself up to potentially letting down the donors because the film didn't turn out good, or just being publicly embarrassed once the film comes out and then potentially everyone hates on it. You may share some similar fears and concerns, or maybe even some other ones that I didn't feel, but there's always a million reasons to not get started, but ultimately I did, and I completed my short film Desert Trip. Currently in June 2025, when I'm recording this video, it is not publicly available because it's still in the film festival circuit, but it's won an award for best visual effects, and I've received a lot of great feedback from some acclaimed filmmakers, which is incredible. And now I've got the filmmaking bug and I'm actively working on my next short film. As hard as it was, I did my best to let go of my concern of what other people might think and just set out to make a film that I could be proud of. But one of the final things that eased my fears was when I was doom scrolling on my phone and I came across a video from Ethan Hawke that felt like he was talking directly to me. So I've compiled a handful of videos I found motivating and inspiring, starting with the Ethan Hawke video, in hopes that it helps out some of you, because I know that sometimes we just need an encouraging nudge in the right direction. Now I'll stop yapping. Please make that film.
You got to think like a player who wants the ball. You got to it's like if you worry too much about not catching it or not doing a good job, then you don't want the ball. There's too much fear in the room. It's okay if you drop the ball. It's worth it that people play, right? And so if you get yourself in that mindset, then there's nothing really to worry about.
If you make something and everybody likes it, chances are you haven't gone far enough. The best work divides the audience. The best work, people love it and people hate it. Otherwise, it doesn't have a strong enough charge.
When you talk to people in the film industry, and you guys are making a video about this, they're like, what's the thing that holds stuff back from being good? It's like time, resources, people. We only have our actor for one day. I'm like, okay, so if your job is to make a good filmmaking content, maybe you shouldn't have time, resources, and people as your number one problems. You know, maybe if you're trying to make a good film, your attention should go into making it so that you have resources, time, and people to make your film. But that costs money. It's like, well, then change your idea. So it's the one that gives you ample time, resources, people, et cetera, to make your idea. So like this Portal short was like, well, it's one person and it's in the studio and it's hardware that we already have and it's lights that we already have. And the only thing we don't really have is a set. But let's say we get our own set and it's just sitting there. Then all I have to do is I get to go do my shots. I get to go to the computer. I get to cut them together. I'm a noob. I've never worked with a robot arm before. You know, I've never, done this before. You know what? I screwed it up. No big deal. Tomorrow, go back down, shoot it again. Do it again. Go back up, edit it. Okay, it worked this time. But you know what? This part's boring. Go back down there and do it again. Because that's like when I'm drawing a picture, or if you're writing a script or making a song, you get to do that. There's no penalty for going back and making something better. But in the world of filmmaking, everybody's made it almost artificially where there's always a penalty for actually trying to make your film better. And it doesn't have to be that way. Like, we don't have to take the shitty way of doing things for granted. We can just do things the right way from the beginning. And for this project, it's like, I'm going to be learning, I'm going to be making mistakes. I'm going to need access to this stuff. And so from the get-go, we said, all right, we're not going to rent anything. We're not going to rent our flats for the walls. We're not going to rent a camera. We're not going to borrow the art. Like, it's going to be in studio until the project's done. I'm going to have access to it 24/7 whenever I want, period. And that approach was 100% necessary for making this project happen, for even being any good, because once again, I'm a noob. I don't know what I'm doing. I need to experiment. I need to have low stakes. But honestly, this goes for every single project that at least I've been working on this summer. Gray Matter was the same thing. It's my friends wearing our airsoft costumes in our hallway at the building, right? Oh, that shot didn't work. I need a new shot. Hang out with my friends again and get a new shot. No big deal. And like, I really want filmmaking to become that for at least for myself. But I think that as the corridor style, heck, the worldwide style, it kind of needs to be that. If you're going to tell a narrative and make something, like, why would you artificially like limit yourself? It's like, I'm going to write a song, but I can only play 100 notes. And then I have to stop and I have to release it. It's like, no, what are you doing? You're being a bad songwriter. It's like, I'm going to shoot a movie, but I only have 3 days to do it. And then I have to release it. It's like, why? What do you mean you only have 3 days to do it? You don't have to. You can do whatever you want. You came up with the idea from nothing. Do literally whatever you want. Don't set yourself up for failure.
Something that you guys had said in the email when you sent the film was that there's on average only like 12 people on set.
Yeah, I mean, it was not enough people, but there's this triangle of like fast, cheap, and good. And if you can spread things out and you can take some time to prepare, it makes things a lot easier in other ways.
We had, in this case, 5 weeks of prep. We photoboarded the entire film, except for a couple of shots in the tunnels that it was just too dark when we were shooting them. And we were like, we get the idea. It's back and forth. And I've done photo boards on every feature that I've shot, and found that to be kind of really additive to the process, where it gets us even more on the same page, and where we can actually be looking at exactly what the shot's going to be.
You'll never have enough time. You'll never have enough money. I don't give a shit what your budget is. Like, whether you have 3 million or 300, every filmmaker, every producer always has the same complaint, which is like, not enough time, not enough money. And even if you've got more money, you think that'll ameliorate it. It just winds up being the same fucking problem, economy of scale. So don't worry about that shit. This is what you need to think about, I think, primarily. Be prepared in as much as, like, if you're starting for the first time, you've never done this shit before. Obviously, this isn't advice for people who do it for a living. Let's say you're a first timer. Rehearse the fuck out of that shit. Like a month. On Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, we rehearsed for a month before we went near a set.
How much do you have to restrict yourself while you're writing to fit the budget?
A thing that I used to do when I was younger is when I would write it, I would go, that's a little too difficult. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. Budgetary wise, this is going to be too expensive. And it wasn't until a few years ago that I got a piece of advice from a friend of mine. He's like, fuck that. He's like, write the movie you want to write the vision you have. And then when you're ready to shoot it, or when you're kind of getting to that stage after you already have the script, then you can figure it out. And maybe you can make compromises then, but don't compromise the story while you're writing it. So when Ryan and I wrote the film, we wrote it as we wanted to. We did the Fargo, and we did the video store, even though in my mind, I was like, there's no way we're going to find a video store. We wrote it, and then you figure it out.
If someone is trying to get into basically working in the art department in some fashion, whether that's a storyboard artist or maybe you're an animator yourself, what would you say to basically get your foot in the door and start working at one of these companies? Is submitting a portfolio still the entryway in?
I get asked that a lot, and I want to talk about this in a philosophical way of a swordsman, of somebody who does martial arts. You never know when battle is coming, so therefore you must train all the time. You must make sure that your sword is sharp and your skill set is good, because when that battle comes to you, you have to win that battle, which means you never know when you're going to get that opportunity. You never know when you're going to be able to get that foot in the door. You should be constantly working on your skill set. If your skill set is good, somebody will find you. Somebody will say, hey, that looks really great. Come on board and try doing this. Getting your foot in the door, everyone's going to always have an opportunity. But being able to keep that opportunity and parlaying it to the next thing is the hardest, not getting that opportunity. So that's why I want to go back a step and say, is your Kung Fu good? Mm-hmm. Is it sharp, right?
What's it like working with Quentin Tarantino?
Oh, it was so much fun. He loves filmmaking so much. I
Mhm.
remember, so we would do multiple takes and, there'll be a good take. And he's like, okay, that's good. And then instead of moving on, he would always say, okay, we'll just do one more take because we love making movies. And then he will just do another take just for the sake of it. It was contagious, how happy he was to be
Mhm.
on set and making movies. I had a blast.
And what about your experience with Indiegogo? Like, what stuff did you have to put on there to kind of like sell the vision to try and like get donations?
I made like an initial video that explains like my path up to this point. Like I was doing traditional cinematography and that kind of led into my YouTube channel and like me directing my own shorts and now wanting to make something bigger. I explained the story of I Think I'm Sick, what the film was about, explained why I wanted to make this specific film and like why it related to me. And then just kind of like gave them the plan, like we're going to shoot it this summer, like whether anyone donates or not, like it's going to happen.
Let me ask you, do you read your film reviews?
Sometimes. I think like with OCD, when we first dropped it, I definitely checked, to see like how everyone was digging it. But at the end of the day, it's like I don't really pay too much attention to it because obviously that, and people have their own opinion and I'm completely okay with it's like if you didn't like the movie, you didn't like the movie, but it doesn't really affect me anymore. I think like I've released enough shorts at this point where it's like I've seen like negative reviews and I'm just like, it is what it is. You have your opinion and that's fine.